Jotham is 20 years old, and here he is, CEO, co-owner, co-founder of Tembuzi.
When you're trying out something new, you're going to fail the first few times. That's just the truth, right? There's no way you're going to just start whatever it is, whether it's a business, whether it's, you're not going to just start and just be up there already, right? There's no overnight success. In doing history, I've tried to understand how countries develop, and I realized that in a very big way, it's due to very few people who come up with large visions. Quite frankly, we have only one life. We're going to die one day, all of us. And I feel that if knowing that, then one should go for the biggest they can think of, even farther than that. I'm not going to lie to you. There some days I wake up and I'm like, I'm tired, I want to sleep. But then I remember that and I'm like, no, I have to get up and do this. Fear will always stop you. So you need to imbue yourself with that faith and that self-belief and just start. You don't have to have lots of capital. You don't have to have connections. You don't have to have any of those. You just have to believe in yourself and start. So who am I? Well, my name is Jotham Mishambi, and I'm an entrepreneur and I go to university. However, currently I am taking a gap year to focus on business, and then I continue the rest of my degree online. So yeah, I would say that's a summary.
I'm curious, why the name Tembuzi? Where did that come from?
Tembuzi is from the Tembuzi dynasty, who are my ancestors on my mother's side, because she's a Mutoro princess. So we wanted to have a name that signified something cultural. In Runyanko is a word kutembura, which means like to pioneer something, to start, right? So we intended to be pioneers in whatever we did and basically paradigm shifters, so to speak.
What inspired you to choose this path or to join this journey? Because you mentioned you're taking a gap year. And in Uganda, the norm is, by 20, you're supposed to be in university working for the degree, then you can get the job. So why did you choose to do things different? What inspired you?
Okay, so I've been on the entrepreneurship and business journey, I would say, all my life, because even when I was younger, I was trying to always sell something and do some business, and always had bigger dreams that when I was older and more able, I would do bigger. So what inspired me would be, I would say, my mother really played a very big role, because in the way she raised me, she always taught me to push for big, to dream big, and to push myself to be better. And I feel that inspired me on this journey.
But I want to know if you could pick out a few case scenarios or a few events in your life that really were lessons, more of lessons on discipline and responsibility, even just one that you ponder on today and use in your daily life.
I think the biggest would be the first time I planted coffee, because it was an experience. Because when we went into planting coffee, I didn't really know much about coffee, obviously, and there were some rookie mistakes that we made, and we pushed really hard to plant it, to prepare for it, and we planted, I think, about 5 acres, and in a few months they all died. Now, it was a devastating experience, but it taught me to be more prepared and to ensure that I know every little thing about whatever business I'm doing, so that I don't make rookie mistakes again. So, and it also taught me to be more resilient, because I believe that when you're trying out something new, you're going to fail the first few times. That's just the truth, right? There's no way you're going to just start whatever it is, whether it's a business, you're not going to just start and just be up there already, right? There's no overnight success.
And I have one other question. In your profile, as we were, interacting, you mentioned that you have a dream to see Africa as an economic powerhouse.
Yes.
So I want you to describe to us, what does this African economic powerhouse look like in your eyes?
I would say that the economic powerhouse would look like, excuse me, something where people are gainfully employed, where we are actually contributing in a very great way to the advancement of society and humanity in terms of science and technology, culture and arts, and really taking our place on the world stage in terms of respect and not being looked at as, oh, Bambi, Africa, we have to, charity and that case. That's what I would, something like South Korea and what South Korea, China, and Japan have been able to do.
Okay,
Yes.
that's massive. And now for you as the African that contributes to our population, where do you see yourself in the next 10 years?
Well, I see myself enlarging this conglomerate, which I run right now, and having, because I want to build a multi-billion-dollar business. And in the next 10 years, I believe I'll have achieved it. And yeah, that's where I'm pushing.
Okay, those are big dreams, and we are all rooting for you. We hope to see great things, multi-billion dollar business in 10 years. Just back to what I asked you about Africa being an economic powerhouse. We have people like you who are taking the initiative and venturing into these fields, investing, being creative. Um, what would you say we have to do in order to reach that level of, economic powerhouse?
One of my hobbies is reading history. I love reading history for fun. And in doing history, I've tried to understand how countries develop. And I realized that in a very big way, it's due to very few people who come up with large visions. So I believe it's in people taking the initiative to follow their dreams, to risk, and to bring other people along with them to believe in their dreams.
What I've seen or what I've learned from you is to dream big because you have very big dreams, very ambitious dreams. Why is it important to dream big?
Quite frankly, we have only one life. We're going to die one day, all of us. And I feel that if knowing that, then one should go for the biggest they can think of, even further than that. And the effects that you will have and the impact that you will have when you do things on a larger scale is far much more than if you thought small or said, oh, let me just do this small thing. Yes. Because let me give an example. Let's say you want to make like a shop and like you're going to hire like two people and that's all you want. Like you don't want to do anything else, right? And that's the level of growth. As opposed to you say, okay, I want to have like a chain of supermarkets like Walmart, for instance, where you employ 100,000 people. Like the impact that you will have is far greater, and that's why I believe that we should always think big.
Yes, that's awesome. That's awesome. We're about to get into our Q&A session, but I have a question that's itching me, and it's if there was one thing you could change about the mindset of the youth in Uganda, what would it be?
That they can accomplish whatever they want, whatever they dream of, that they can actually accomplish it. I would want people to believe in that, believe in themselves.
All these ideas seem very unheard of and unaccomplishable, for the lack of a better word, on the outside, and there can be so many negative forces telling you, really, you think you can do that? So if you lack that belief in yourself, you won't succeed, and the skepticism and the negativity will kill your spark. So that's beautiful, Jotham. That's lovely. One question
Thank
has
you.
come in from the chats, and I'm just diving into the Q&A session. Coming in from Jason Centomero is, what has farming taught you?
Patience and persistence, in the sense that good things take time, and as much they will hurt. To get something good, something great, it will hurt you. But if you're persistent enough, you'll get what you want, and that's a reward in of itself.
Patience and persistence. Not the things that our teachers tell you, but they're very important life skills that we need. And speaking of teachers, what things did you learn in school that you are applying and using in your life as an entrepreneur?
Do you mean like in terms of like subject material or in terms of like
It could
what?
be subject material, it could be values or principles, anything
Uh,
from school.
I would say belief in ideas. I remember I had two different teachers, one in my HSC and then one in my primary, who really pushed about believing in ideas. That even if you start small, that you can actually build something. And yes, belief in ideas.
Okay, you must have gone to cool schools, very good schools, or been a good student. Someone in the chat, Atuhaire Collins, asks, how did you initiate your entrepreneurial journey?
As I said earlier on, I've been an entrepreneur all my life. I don't know when it exactly started, but I can remember that even when I was 8 years old, 9 years old, I was always trying to look for a way to make money, whether it was raising chicken, whether it was growing some maize, it was always something. So to say how I initiated it, I would say it came naturally. However, in terms of making it into a reality, I just took the leap of faith. I decided what I wanted and I went for it.
Another question comes in from Joseph Katimbo. He says, what gets you up every morning and keeps you going?
My vision, and which is to, as I said, create Africa as an economic powerhouse, as well as also to create one of the world's largest, one of the world's most valuable companies. And that gets me excited. It gets me fired up that whenever I feel down, because I'm not going to lie to you, there's some days I wake up and I'm like, I'm tired, I want to sleep. But then I remember that and I'm like, no, I have to get up and do this.
Hi, Jotham. So my question is in line with agriculture because it's something really interesting, and you've understood it when you're still young. So, when you were venturing into agriculture, why did you choose coffee in particular and those animals? And how can we as the youth look at agriculture as an opportunity? Because it's something that we tend to shy away from, yet there's possibility for growth there. So how can we look at it as an opportunity?
For the animals, that one was something that we had been doing as a family for long before I even existed. So it was something that I looked at and I said, okay, this has been done in the traditional sense, but how do we actually commercialize it and make it professional and modern? For the coffee, I would like to say that maybe I had some vision of some grand ideals, but the honest truth is the way I got into it was one day my best friend and I were talking on the van home, and I realized we had never thought of doing business together and we wanted to just do a business. So we decided I said, okay, Uganda exports a lot of coffee. So let's look into that, and started doing more research and realizing that it's actually a profitable venture. And eventually the love for it grew. Yeah. Agriculture is just like any other business. You figure out what you want to do, what you want to grow, or what you want to raise in particular, do the research, figure out, of course, unless you have access to lots of capital, which most people don't, figure out what's the minimum barrier of entry that I can pass to enter into this and grow.
Someone called Vanessa Neka is asking, what could you suggest that the entrepreneurial youth should do back home in order to achieve success?
First off, I would say get rid of fear. Fear will always stop you. So you need to imbue yourself with that faith and that self-belief and just start. You don't have to have lots of capital. You don't have to have connections. You don't have to have any of those. You just have to believe in yourself and start.
Ryan has asked, I think Ryan is into economics and business, so he's asking something about the money, and he says, how did you generate funds for both of your businesses?
For Tembuzi, fortunately enough, I was able to borrow money from my mother, who was able to help fund that, and I'm eternally grateful. For Mandu, it came from savings. I just had to, whatever money I saved up from either business or where I got my money from the businesses, I just saved up the money and then invested it in there.
Okay, so you didn't have any, because many people I've interacted with who are starting up their businesses, that's the stage that they dread. And I saw a question in the chat: does big success take on illegal ways? These days, having an illegal business, we have so many businesses, but they're unregistered, and it's becoming normal. And when you question these people, they say, the bureaucracy and the corruption. So it's good to hear that it's actually not as it seems, and that go ahead and do it with the help of a lawyer. So I guess you would advise that we use lawyers when we're starting our businesses.
Yes, just to make sure that everything is in place. However, obviously, you can also go down the route of doing it yourself. But I believe that it's a lot of hassle, yet you can get a lawyer. And either way, whatever business you're doing, if you're going to do any serious business, you need lawyers, because you need to draft contracts. So this person would be able to guide you through that process and help you. Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you for that. Okay, Derek Mugabe, you can unmute and ask your question.
Thank you very much. I'll try to frame my question. I'll try to make it very short. So I've heard Jotham talk about startups and entrepreneurship, and what we're doing here is like mentorship, really. So I am imagining this thing. Actually, yesterday I had an argument with one angel investor here in Uganda. And we're talking about how we are getting our mentorship as entrepreneurs here in Uganda. You find that majority of the people that mentor us come and tell us their success stories. They come and tell us what they've done, how it has been successful. And if I must say, there is a way it, excretes some sort of dopamine among the young people, and they think things really are going to be straight. Like you just go in full heart and you think things are going to be straight. And just to give an example, like, Amazon not breaking through like for 10 years or 15, and a Ugandan entrepreneur starts, an online market and expects it to, to break in like 2 years, which is obviously impossible. So you find that many young people, 95% of the entrepreneurs are falling out of the market because they went in with the wrong expectations, and they want to blame it on the mentors who give us the success stories, and not light or put some light on how things are really hard given the environment we are in here in Uganda. So as Jotham, what is your take on this whole concept of us taking on the wrong kind of mentorship? Thank you.
You're right about that, because I realized that success stories are more glamorous than failures. And most times people want to hear about only nice things. And unfortunately, if you're going to be a legitimate entrepreneur, and you will first go through the failures, then you reach the success. And I acknowledge that. However, what I would say is that as a mentee, you should take the more proactive approach of asking people, did they fail? And what did they learn from those failings? And to talk more about that side of things, because most of the times when people ask questions, they always ask it in line of the success, which is good, because I believe I'm a very big believer of positive thinking. So yes, but I believe that as a mentee, one should be able to really interrogate it and really learn from that person. And when you ask people, usually they will tell you, at least from my experience. Yes. I hope that answers your question.
Derek, does it answer your question?
Yes, it gives an alternative of mentees being the problem. Okay, but it's fine.
No. No. No, mentees are not the problem. They are not the problem, not at all. The point is, I have people who mentor me, who I look up to. And of course, I have to have that also discernment for myself. I have to be hungry for knowledge. I have to look at it from all areas. I have to read. I have to. So if you just pin your success and your view on one person, on on just a glamorous story, then unfortunately, and you don't ask the question about their failure, then unfortunately it's on you, because you can't expect a person to bring you to the water and then also bring the water into your mouth.
Hello, Jotham. Hello.
Hello, Samuel. Hi.
Yeah. So I'm an entrepreneur myself. A tech entrepreneur. I'm running two companies. I'm starting two companies: Barika, the online store, Barika online shopping platform, and Blue Ball. So some people come up to me and be like, you can't start two ventures, especially at this age. You have no experience. At least get one and start with that. Then later, when you have more experience, you can come back and get the second venture. But I personally feel like it's the right time because I have the momentum. I still have the momentum. So I'm just asking, do you think it's right for entrepreneurs to hold back on their dreams on this common notion that you can't do so many things at the same time?
No, I don't think so, because I can't count the number of times people have said that to me, excuse me, or even people I know who are also entrepreneurs, because they always tell you, focus is key. And what they think by focus means is you're doing only one thing. Because I always like to go give like I think it's like comparison to like school. We used to do how many subjects in school, and you had to revise for each of these subjects. You had to pay attention to each of these classes. And these were different things, from literature to physics, which are very unrelated. So if you were able to do that and do it successfully, then what's stopping you from running two businesses successfully? Because this is all about, what is your discipline level? Are you able to delegate? Are you able to manage your time? So I would say people like that are very wrong, because there are so many stories of people who are successful who have run multiple businesses at the same time. And speaking from experience, it is very possible. I think, don't listen to those people, because this is a question to you. Are those people very successful entrepreneurs who tell you these things?
Yes, very true. I agree with that. Especially when you compare with when we used to do 16 subjects, 8 subjects. I mean, you can run two businesses.
Yeah, hi Jotham. Thank you so much for your time. Clearly, you're a very busy person. I'm also in agriculture. I work with a startup called Biso Coffee. We are also in coffee, but we are more in line with value addition instead of actual growth. Yeah, actual farming, I should say.
Yes.
So my question to you is, because you're involved in very many agricultural ventures, and it's something that it's really ingrained in us from our education. At least I know every primary school in Uganda says that agriculture is the backbone of the Ugandan economy. So what's your view on the idea that at the moment we've hit our agricultural peak as a country, like as far as what we can produce? Our quantity is not so much, but as far as what, like the things we can produce here, then what's your view on the idea that the next big step towards your goal of making Africa an economic powerhouse is value addition? Because it's something that's really close to my heart, and I've not really interacted with very many people in the farming, I should say, but I have interacted with very many people in value addition. And my question is, for you as someone who is actually growing these animals, someone who is actually farming the crops, what's your take on the idea that value addition is the future for African agriculture?
First off, I want to also, I don't know if I said this earlier or not, but we are also going into further value addition. Actually, we are releasing a coffee product next month. So we're also getting to your space. And one, I don't believe that we have even reached half of our agricultural potential, because we don't do intensive commercial farming. Because if you see how people farm in China, in Israel, is in the US, these people use very modern techniques and they make the most out of each parcel of land that they have. So I believe there's far more potential. However, I also believe that value addition is the way to go. because we need to create higher value products to be able to sell to our domestic markets, our regional markets as well as also export. Because, for example, in coffee, as you very well know, most of the profits in coffee are in roasting it and actually making it for the consumer, as opposed to farming it. Not to say that it's not profitable, but just most of them. And traditionally, that has been reserved for European companies, American companies. So for us to grow as a continent, we have to really look into making those value-added products. So I'm a very strong believer on that point as well.
Someone has asked an important question, Ryan, in the chats, and he says, what factors do you consider when choosing your team members and employees? Because it's difficult to deal with Ugandans when it comes to business, according to Ryan. So, what factors do you choose?
Before I get into what skills do you have, what experience you have, because skills can be learned and experience can be gotten, I look into who are you as a person. Do you believe in the values that we believe in, which for Tembuzi and Mandu would be things like dreaming big, thinking big, be things like, are you a self-starter? So once your business or company has their values and their vision, you need to first look into people who align with those values and believe in those visions. However, I'll also tell you that hiring is a very tricky business, because someone can show you this side. It takes about 6 months to a year to really know if someone is really right for your business or not.
To the end of the Q&A session, and thank you so much, Jotham, for being so open with us and sharing your story, answering our questions. Before I hand over to Jason to give us, to close the call, someone had suggested in the chat that we share our LinkedIn profiles, so please go ahead and let's network and follow up on each other, hold each other accountable. All of you here that I see, Atwine Albert, Felix K, Danielle, Harry D, Derek Mugabe, K. Peter, Mukisa Baron. I hope you're all picking and not just listening, but going to apply these things so that we can have more people making and working towards Africa becoming an economic powerhouse.